Welcome back. This is going to be December's garden tour. It's just after Christmas, so I hope you've all had a lovely Christmas. And if you're like me, you'll be looking forward to the new year, new growing season. Already looking at what plants we can buy. Speaking of plants, I received a lovely Tetrapanax for Christmas from my dad. Tetrapanax ferox. So I'll be finding a nice place for this in the garden in the new year. Again, it's not going to be staying here, same as some of the other plants that's in this area. It just fills out of space while there's nothing else here. So that's a lovely present. Not sure where it's going to go yet. As you can see from the last video, I've added a good bit of mulch to the garden in farmyard manure. Built for a nice growing season next year. This Trachycarpus hybrid's doing quite well. It does seem to have took a little bit of, I don't know, some brown spotting in the centre spear, but it'll be fine that. But yeah, it comes out looking like that then. But it's growing quite nicely that now. Once we get some height in this section of the garden, I think it'll really transform the space. Which is why I think a Schefflera like this put on some size pretty quickly if I plant this here. This, or I have got a couple others. I've got Alpina and a rhododendrofolia currently sat in the greenhouse to be planted next year, so one of them will go here. But from what I've seen of some other gardens, the rhododendrofolia seems to end up being a little bit top heavy, so it might be a bit too sparse that to go in this location. So potentially this Taiwaniana will go here. Now, like I said in previous video, that's going to go underneath there, that laurel. This section looks quite good. It's always nice and evergreen. It's just very low. I would like some more height to this section. So we've got this hellebore which has been split. It's actually starting to come into flower now. I've not seen that. Come into flower. Looks nice. So this was split from down under the tree fern probably around a year ago. Added to a couple of spots in the garden. Took a while to establish, but it seems to be doing very well now. Maybe I'll have to split that again in another year. Keep dotting it around, especially as we extend the garden towards the back. I'll need plenty of plants to bulk out. Phormium looks good all the time. It's yellow wave, that one. And then here we've got the Waggy, which I've mentioned it in previous videos, did spear pull the other year, and it's just starting to throw out some decent fronds now. And you can see in the centre it's got a good few coming. So hopefully, if the winter carries on like it is, very mild, that'll do perfectly well. Come through no problems and carry on growing. I love this Mahonia. This one's soft caress. This must be almost 3 foot now. Well, maybe, nah, yeah, 2.5, 3 foot. It's a good size. It looks nice in this area. Took some cuttings off that I've mentioned before as well. We'll see how they do. We've got Euphorbia minus Merlot. It's well past its best now. It'll be ready for a cutback. And then see next year's flush come through lovely. And there is some nice new growth lower down. Obviously this top growth takes your eye. You want to get rid of this at some point. Leave it a bit longer yet though. So we've got, see a redemption badge here, but a label, but that's from last year. I left one in the ground, it never came back, so that can be taken out. Yeah, like I said, it never came back. I experimented with it. No good. I've got one in the house, plant that my dad gave me, so I can replace next year, and then hopefully bulk up my stocks with that one. But I don't know if any of you guys have had one survive the winter outside, but I've not managed it here in my location. But like I said, this is a mild winter so far this year. Still got a good few months to go, but if it carries on like this, maybe it would have survived this winter. I mentioned before, this fern may move this just so that I can see the trunk of the bootier better. It just kind of hides it a little bit too much. Put a smaller fern in front of it. You know, I like the fern here, but yeah, slightly too big, this one. Under here we've got Colocasia metallica. It stayed here last winter. As you can see, there's fleece under there. Just pot over it. Came back perfectly fine last year. So hopefully the same again. I did also take divisions off it. Actually, if you look here, that's a runner. We'll pop that in the ground a bit because you can see its roots on it. Pop that in the ground. I don't know how that's ended up exposed. But yeah, that should do perfectly fine here, hopefully. This section here, looking quite nice actually. Schefflera that went in earlier in the year, that's planted in the ground. So that'll grow up similar rate, hopefully to the trachea. We'll probably overtake it because this is not a massive trachea. And then underneath we've got the Cordline Torbay Dazzler, Carex Everlime, and then a Charlie Boy Cordline just behind that one. This looks nice, evergreen foliage. It's been quite slow to settle in, this trachea. I feel like it looked better when it first went in. The older fronds are looking a little bit tatty now, and it's been slow to throw out some new ones, but I think it's done. This will be its second winter now. So next year I'm hoping for it to really crack on. See no reason why it won't. I might try and feed it a little bit next year as well. To be honest, I don't think I've fed this palm hardly anything since it went in. So maybe a little bit neglect on my behalf. Now we'll go back up this side of the garden and have a look what we've got. Another potted Mahonia. What's this one? This one's Soft Caress also. I say I love this plant. Although I've taken some divisions, picked this one up relatively cheap in the sale of a garden centre close to me that we're closing down. The Euphorbia John Phillips. This is really growing on me, this, as it grows. And then a trachea. This is my oldest trachea in the garden. This is starting to move now, and I do think this one's going to get ahead of the one we've just looked at in a couple of years' time. It's really starting to push out some good growth. It's also much bigger fronds and really nice and green, healthy. It's a nice plant, that one. Below that, another Miner's Merlot. This one was a division off the one we looked at a few minutes ago. Taken a couple of divisions last winter. These are those divisions from last winter. A couple of cuttings, sorry, not divisions. Got one here and one down near the fascia that we'll look at later. Cheap little Astelia from B&Q recently. I split this in half actually. I can't remember where I put the other half of it. It was a big pot, only a few quid. Here we've got Trachycarpus Nova. Not sure where this one's going to be planted. A yucca behind, which has just been, I think I've mentioned it a few times, just in the little tub. Yeah, it's been in that tub for a couple of years, but just keeps steadily growing. And this is a trachea that I can't wait to grow up. This is Princeps Cross Waggy, or Waggy Cross Princeps, I can't remember which way it is. Probably Waggy Princeps. A little bit hidden at the minute, but as I cut, in the spring, as I cut all this ivy back, it'll have room to grow up a bit. Pan out. You can see the bluebells starting to pop up already. I thought I removed all these from this area when I dug it over to plant the princeps. Obviously not. Must have been deeper than I dug. Already coming up in December. Beautiful blue of the princeps. Lovely palm this. It's going to have this shelter above it for a couple of years. Well, just in winter obviously. Just to keep the worst of the weather off, because like I said, in previous years I've lost a smaller princeps than this. These are a nice palm, I don't want to lose this one. It's worth just this small overhead protection just to get it through. It'll be coming off in a couple of months' time when the worst of the weather's passed. This Tetrapanax not completely lost all its leaves compared to the bigger one I've got. Still some green on these. Stopped growing really now though, but yeah, it's not fully lost its green leaves. It's nice to see. Never had that in my garden before. We'll head down and look at where the bigger one is now. Oh, just look at this. This is probably the first time I've ever really been able to see this small trachea. It's got a slight lean on it, but it's really starting to grow now. It's been very slow to get going, really slow. I've had this almost as long as this one next to it. This one was bigger to start with, but I've had them a similar time, and that one's grown well. And this one's just creeping along. Nice little palm though, but in the summer months it just gets drowned out by everything in front of it. The Miscanthus all died back now. I think it was last month as well, wasn't it? Not a lot happening in this bit to show. We'll see here. This is the Salvia Amistad. We'll see how this does. I think this will come back from the roots. Oh, you can see over there, look, the acacia's flopped over. It was staked, but not sure what's happened there. It's a bit top heavy. Might have mentioned it last time that I'm potentially just going to cut that down to the ground and let it start again. Beautiful plant, but yeah, it's flopped over. Lovely foliage to this. Yeah, we'll stand this back up after the video. So here's the Tetrapanax. The reason that I've put all these leaves above it is just because last year in the winter I lost the growing tip and it died back maybe a foot and a half, and it sprouted then two main growing points. It's going to be a double header. Ideally I'd like to not lose either of them this winter and just have two growing points going up and above. So just by leaving them there, it's just going to give you that little bit of protection. Don't really affect me that it looks a bit untidy for now. Also mulch the bottom of this. This will be filled with hostas in the springtime. They're under there somewhere growing along nicely. So this time here you can see where the pups popped up last year. We've got one there. There's another one just down near the canners, you can see just there. Two that I didn't dig out of here. Probably will take at least one of them out, maybe both of them out. I don't need to take over this area with those plants, because there's another one, well, another two actually here. This one not fully lost all its leaves either, and this is yeah, these two are the biggest of the pups. I like this one here to grow up near the path. It's very close. It needs to put some size on quickly to not get in the way, and it'll give a bit of shade to this Acer as well, because it often gets fried in the summer sun. Do like that Acer. That's Acer Bloodgood. Should be budding up now. Not quite focusing on that, is it? So around here then we've got another one of that division of the hellebore. I just like the foliage of this. I don't see the flowers all too often when I'm not out in the garden in winter time, but They're there. Adds a little bit of winter interest. And here we've got, this one is Mahonia Volcano. Seems to be a slightly smaller compact plant. Again, as this grows around this area, it's all going to be evergreen. So this border really needs to have as much interest as possible throughout the year. Because I see this one from the house. Oh, there's the other division of the Astelia. Some small cannas that's not been chopped back. I just leave them, to be fair. Chop them back in spring. I've done that with most of the cannas. They're still standing. Here's the biggest clump of the Canna musifolia. Just piled all its own leaves on top of it, just give it a bit of protection. These usually come through no problem for me though, but yeah, don't hurt just to throw that on top. Another canna we've got is Tropicana Black. Still standing nicely, but yeah, they're dead, but there's a little bit of life in this one. But I'll chop them back in spring. As much as anything, it helps you not bury them if you're mulching your garden. Burying them and losing where you planted stuff, because when I come to plant this up in spring, I'm very likely just to forget them, try and bang something else in its place. I've another euphorbia back here. This is just mellifera, not the cross, not the hybrid John Phillips that's over there. Again, it's a big plant, this one. This will fill this space in a couple of years. But lovely. So this time next year we'll see how big that one is. This is the best angle you're going to get really of the boot here now. I don't actually see this trunk in summer. Would have been quite nice. I've tried to leave a space open. This section here is going to stay open-ish, just to give you some sort of view of it. Lovely palm. Got that this time last year I bought that. Put out couple of fronds. I'm not too sure how many. It was a good price last year. Didn't have them on sale this year though. We did have a look. There's the Musa Bajus. Nothing's happened with them. Couple of pots blow off from time to time, just pop them back on whenever. We've had some strong winds recently. You'll see on with a tree fern blown some nice healthy fronds off. We have had some good strong winds, but this so far not really taken any damage. Still looks really well. It's both of them. A little bit of brown into this one, but on the whole, yeah, it looks really good. I'd be happy if it stays looking that green all winter. I've not got any fleece in these at the minute. Only pop them in if it gets really cold. This is Colocasia escalenta under here. See if that'll come through. I think it will, to be honest. This is the biggest fatsia I've got. I'm gonna keep chopping off the lower leaves as it grows up. I can keep underplanting the bottom. Cut any new growth off that comes from below. Don't need any more than that. Another euphorbia there. That's Miner's Merlot again. This cordline only got repotted yesterday. It was, I don't know how it's going to do this. It had blown over in its pot and kind of snapped off a while ago, to be honest. I've just repotted it deeper. So with these you can pot them a little bit deeper and it don't rot them off like it does some plants. Here's the Kinley Hill trackies, showed you last month. You can see them even better now. One there, another one by the fence. Lovely leaf shape to these ones. Really beautiful palm. These are the ones I'm most looking forward to seeing grow, I think. Hey, look at that leaf shape. Lovely glossy green leaf. It might be a little bit stretched for a couple of years as it's quite congested in here, but once they get up and above the lower canopy, the lower growth, they should stop being so leggy, hopefully, because you see that one, really long PTL on that one. You'll see the damage here in a second of what, well, not damage, but in the pond you can see here the temporary water feature while the stream's not running. That blew over in the heavy winds, pulled the pipe off it, so it's just running like that. I need to get in, stand all that back up, sort it out. Fancy it in this cold water at the minute though. It does need doing. I think I'll show the progress we've made on the behind the fence, because we've not looked at that in a little while, so we'll look at that now. I can't remember what it looked like the last time I showed you. I'll put an image up on screen of what it was like when I first started. And these trees will hopefully be down 2 months time when it's growing up, and over that, it really does hang over that roof. And the other one, this one here, a bit of a mess here still. This one's really unstable in the ground. We've had some strong winds a week ago. I was out here working, clearing it, and the base of the tree, and you can see just how wide this tree is, the whole base of the tree was swaying. It's not just the top of the tree like you'd expect to be swaying in the wind. The actual base of the tree was swaying, so it does need to come out, unfortunately. But we'll be replanting all this area. It's a lovely space. Not sure if I've mentioned it on video, but it's 3 meters wide, 10 meters, well, 3 meters deep, sorry, 10 meters wide, the width of the garden. So, I mean, down this section here, it really drops off. So we'll have a retaining wall that runs just off that wall, or just off this building here, all the way down, just so then I can backfill and level it to my garden. Can't be piling soil up against that building. So still a lot of work to be done in this area. But I'm quite pleased with the progress that's been made so far. If we have a look just over the fence, you'll see what view we will be looking at when we're back here and open it all up. I do think it's going to be well worth the effort that's going to be involved in opening this up. While we're down here, I thought I'd look at this trachea. Not shown this one really before. This one was one of the B&M ones a couple of years ago. It's not really moved at all since I put it in, unfortunately. It's getting really tatty now, and all of the new growth comes out really floppy. It doesn't stand, this is a new frond, it doesn't stand up to any of the weather. Might always be a tatty looking palm, this. But it'll just be one plant of many in the garden, and hopefully it'll not take your eye away from the rest of the plants that will be planted in this area. Here then we've got a small Yucca rostrata, which is just under the summerhouse canopy, just to keep too much rain off it and not so much the frost, but yeah, just keep it more dry. Not bothered putting any other canopy over it. I thought this should hopefully be enough. It's actually grown a little bit since I got it. Not getting a trunk as such just yet, but I'm sure in no time at all it will do, especially once it goes in the ground. Just not found anywhere for it yet. I'm not sure when I got this, maybe summertime. Right, we'll finish up around back up around the greenhouse where we always finish. Oh, I might quickly just show you what's overwintered in the greenhouse. But normally come in here. So here then we've got, this is your Schefflera rhododendrifolia. Beautiful serrated leaves to this one. Looking forward to this getting in the ground. It's got a good bit of trunk on it as well. It was much bigger than I was expecting when I got it. I can't remember where I got this from. I'll find out and I'll put it on screen. And then in here, these are the three. I've showed these in a previous video. Schefflera alpina, 3 of, in the pink pots you can see there. This was the Butiagris. I've just tied the fronds up so it doesn't completely fill the greenhouse. We've got some more palms in here as well. Just recent purchases that are still overwintering in here just because I've got the space really. They don't really need to be in here, especially the trackies. That's 2 more. They're the Fortunii cross princeps, 2 of which I'm going to in the new section of garden which I've just showed you. There to go down there. The other one I've got in the garden was the first palm I showed you. And we've got just some begonias overwintering in here. Chiba, that one. Terrace Ambrosa. Lovely fern that. This year is the first year I'm slightly heating the greenhouse. As you can see here, that's how well it'll show up on screen if it's flashing or not. But I just heat it to 5 degrees. It's flickering at the minute between 7 and 8. Can't make its mind up what temperature it is in here. See, this is much more accurate. Should be anyway than the cheap greenhouse thermometer. That's saying 10 degrees in here currently. 8 degrees with that one. And I've only got a small little heater in here. Just seems to be doing the trick. Like I say, it's not been a cold winter as yet. We'll see how that little heater performs if we get sustained really cold temperatures. Because even the Monstera is still doing really well in here. It's normally a house plant that. I've not taken it in this year. This is Begonia Sterling Moon and Dark Side of the Moon. These should be the 2 new variety of hardy begonias from the Luna series. I've taken plenty of cuttings off these. Some of them are in the propagators at the back as well. Right. I think we've showed everything out here now then. That's it. So we're in a good, not a bad place for December. It's just nice to look back on these videos in years to come and see just how far the garden's progressed. I enjoyed making the last video of the garden transformation from when we moved in to how it is now. Sometimes you don't appreciate just how much a space has changed when you're seeing it all the time, but to look back, it's really nice. So these videos are as much for me as they are to share with you guys. But hopefully some of you find these interesting. Yeah, keep following along, see how the garden progresses. And have a good new year, everybody. See you in the next video. Ta-ra.